Welcome to News Cafe. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. Tonight, we go to the opera as we talk to some of the people behind Noli Me Tangere, the opera, which is being produced here for the first time after 27 years with a full orchestra. The production is fresh from a successful two-night staging at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. last August, where it was well received by critics and audiences. Now, Philippine audiences have the chance to experience the beauty and splendor of Jose Rizal's 19th century novel as a grand opera production. We start off the show with some of the brains behind the production. We have philanthropist Loida Nicholas Lewis, Jerry Siebel, executive producer and set and costume designer, and Edwin Josue, assistant executive producer. And later on, we'll be talking to some of the cast members. Good evening. Thank you for being on News Cafe.
Thank you, Mitzi.
Thank you for inviting us.
It's a very exciting time. Now, please tell me how this all came to be. Loida, you actually saw the play in Chicago.
Yes, around 2 years ago, which is the 100th anniversary of the birth of Felipe de Leon. Right. The KGB Productions started the opera in Chicago. I knew nothing about opera of Noli Me Tangere. And so when I arrived, they asked me to help a little bit. So when I arrived and saw the film, the opera yeah, sang in Filipino, in Tagalog, tama sa puso. And so I said, wow, this is beautiful. I should bring it to New York. Yeah. Because I always tell everybody, if it didn't happen in New York, it didn't happen. And that's how it happened that I brought it to New York.
Yeah, and why did you involve, how did you get Jerry and Edwin involved?
You know, ignorance is bliss. I have never done any production of an opera, much theater. And so when I was explaining it, I invited them to the finance committee because I need help, you know, so that we can have a broad support of financing from the Filipino community. Jerry and Edwin are friends of long standing. And so when he started, especially Jerry, when he started listening to what I intend to do, that due to friends, Michael Dadap and others, saying, don't bring in Chicago. Why don't we start from scratch? And Jerry was saying, no. I don't think Mrs. Lewis knows what she's doing. And so he jumped in, and I am so glad he did. Yeah. Because without him, it would not have happened.
Well, Jerry, you're quite a prestigious events planner and flower. You do a lot of, you work with clients like Vanderbilt and, you know.
Sir Richard Branson.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you to have to, you know, start from scratch to do a production such as this opera?
It's very difficult because in a way, like, this is a national treasure. It's a national material. I cannot play with it. And it's too risky. It's too risky for me, especially, you know, I have to know the materials. I have to study everything. And I was telling Mrs. Lewis, you don't have time, you know. You have the money, but kalaban mo dito oras, time, you know. Let's just postpone it. But she was so stubborn. No, I have to do it, you know.
That's what she's saying because she didn't know the nuances of production. You knew it.
Yes, I knew it because when I asked the production team, I said, when did you start planning? He said, 6 months ago. What have you done? Nobody could answer me.
That's why 4 days before you wanted to cancel.
Yeah, I said, stop the conversation, stop. So I have to pull her on the side and say, you know, as a friend, as a good friend, I don't want you to get hurt, you know. I said, please cancel it, you know. Yeah. But she was very persistent. I said no, you know, and that's why I learned that's Mrs. Lewis. Yeah. She doesn't say no.
Takes risks and really takes it all the way.
Especially if she believes in something.
Yeah.
You know, and me and Edwin, I said, okay, let's just help. Yeah. You know, and we'll pour our time and effort, and you know, the rest was just a surprise for us. We never thought it's going to be successful.
Yeah. Well, Edwin, you're actually from the real estate business. How did you get involved in this?
Well, because Jerry is a partner, and then Miss Lewis is a very good friend and client. She was my mentor in real estate, so how could you not say no to her when she asked for help? So we actually help her out. And here we are, the three musketeers we call ourselves.
Crazy.
The three crazy musketeers.
Yeah, crazy.
It takes a little bit of madness to put something like this together, right?
And guts.
Yes, and a lot of fun. So a big challenge in this was getting funds together, right? So for the New York production, what was it like? I mean, you worked with a group there.
Yes, it's a foundation of Filipino artists with Aida Bartolome. Because when people give to art and culture, they would want, you know, a tax deduction. And Aida Bartolome was celebrating 25 years of presenting artists, Filipino artists. And she became the sponsoring organization. So that's the first one.
Yeah.
But the nitty-gritty of doing the production was done by Jerry and Edwin.
Yeah. Now, what were the challenges in putting all the costumes together, the sets?
Yeah.
For you,
yeah.
I mean, and in New York, of
Yeah,
course,
in New York.
you know.
I did my set design and execution for only like 2 months. And my costume is only one month,
Yeah.
you know. But here, I think it is even more challenging for me, but I was able to do it in 5 weeks. 5 days.
5 days.
Not 5
wasn't
weeks,
it?
5
Yeah.
days, you know.
Yeah.
And it was okay.
Yeah, you survived.
I survived.
I
Yeah. I'm still working on it, you know, do a lot of beadings and embroidery, you know.
Well, we'll get to the Manila production, but before that, after New York, you were invited to go to Washington, D.C. So you had a fellow Bicolana who fell in love with the opera in New York.
Well, actually, she is married to an American who loves opera. And in fact, that's how he courted her. He invited her to La Traviata.
Yes.
Oh.
And you know, being Bicolana, you know, just like me, what's that? What's opera? So she did homework. And so they've been coming to New York to watch the opera at the Met. And so when they came and saw this Noli Me Tangere in New York, he knew that it was first class.
Yeah.
You know, costume and things like that. So he was able to convince his wife, we'll take care of this.
Yeah.
And so gladly, all right, it's yours now. And that's what they did last month.
Sold out.
Early this month.
Just early in August, that's right.
Early in
early
August.
last August.
And they didn't want any small theater.
Yeah.
Kennedy Performing
yeah.
Arts.
And you got rave reviews, and I'd like to read something that the top broadsheet Washington Post wrote there. Basically, they said that the opera flowed with passages reminiscent of Mozart, Rossini, Puccini, and Wagner under conductor Benjamin Diaz-Baton. And they, of course, lauded the cast. The cast performed proudly and conveyed a love for libretto and music. So how did you feel, I mean, being there? Of course, it's not just Philams, but also Americans who were there.
Yeah. I felt relieved.
Yeah. You did it.
Relieved. I did it. We did it. Not only me. It's more of the whole family. We call it Noli family. Because the wonderful thing that happened in this Noli Me Tangere is like we were able to combine all the best of the best in the talent. Yeah. But the beautiful thing that happened is the relationship, you know. And just like what you've seen this afternoon, they talk about the relationship among artists. You know, that's the beautiful thing that we created, and we're so proud.
Yeah. What about in terms of getting the director, the cast? It's also, of course, there are some really good talents in the U.S. How did you get the team together to find the right people?
We had an audition also. And then from audition, we keep on asking, and people heard about it. So the audition, and I interviewed directors. She's from the Met, you know, and she's Japanese. You know, amazingly, she did a wonderful job. For 3 months, she was able to study the libretto, and she read the book, and very knowledgeable, and knew how to treat the story. Yeah. And she did a great job, I would say. Yeah.
Edwin, I like that story you had of you were talking about the orchestra, because you have a 30-piece orchestra, and was it in D.C. or New York?
Yeah,
where
actually I befriended this harpist, you know, and she's an American, and they were in the orchestra pit, and she told me, Edwin, every time we have a show, because being in the orchestra pit, the audiences be up on their deck, you know, they could hear all the clutching of the bags, not listening to the opera, but mind you, she said, you know, all the people were just, you know, listening intently. And, you know, something like, you know, they could just not miss the opera.
They were riveted, no?
They were riveted, and, you know. And
first time they'd seen that, and
first time they've seen that. They said, this is a beautiful music that we're playing from a Filipino production, you know. Yeah. And I'm very, very happy and very, very proud to be Filipino, you know.
Yeah, of course. And what made you decide, of course, it's only natural that the Philippines should see it, but how did you come about bringing it to Manila?
Well, actually, I was challenged by NCCA, National Commission on Culture and Arts, when I came a year ago to ask for help so that the video that we took of New York could be done into a CD or DVD to be, you know, distributed to the schools here in the Philippines. They told me, what? You know, this is a New York production. We have nothing to do with, you know, we have those who are here. All right, so bring it here.
Only Lloyd and Nicholas Lewis can do that.
Well, that's one. And secondly, the Philippines has now moved up in this world. We are no longer the poor man of Asia. Under President Aquino, we are now the new tiger in Asia. We are now investment grade, okay? And that's never before in the 106 history of the Philippines did we get to investment grade, meaning to say we are a good country to invest in. And lastly, we are also beating China every quarter, not every quarter, but many, that our GDP is higher than China.
Yeah.
Okay, so what better time for opera, a high form of art, by Filipinos, for Filipinos, to be presented here in Manila, in the Philippines. So those are the two reasons we brought it here.
Right.
Aside from, you know, it's really Jerry and Edwin, because, you know, I said, I have done and underwrote New York, okay? So Manila will be your responsibility, okay, but I will help. Okay, so it's really, you know, but really, we are the three crazy musketeers.
Yes, and I like what you said, being immigrants here, so you really feel this sense of home and you want to bring it back to your country.
Yeah.
So maybe it takes, you know, a person to be pulled out of their home and their comfort zone to really appreciate.
And giving back to the country.
Yes. Actually, it's the song of Maria Clara, Kang Tamis ng Buhay, sa sariling bayan. Okay? So we felt that's for us. Filipinos who left, who lived abroad, you know, and has that longing to come back here. We can't because our life now is in abroad, but we can bring Noli Me Tangere here.
Right. Well, we'll take a quick break, but when we return, we'll talk about opera in the Philippines and what it takes to make it relevant to audiences today. Being a 19th century novel, how to make it relevant today?
Well, first of all, I didn't have to try really very hard. One, the theater alone is already very different. It's a theater on the wide. That is very rare, especially for opera. Opera is done theater on the narrow. Because it's a wide theater, it's not acoustic, meaning natural sound cannot be heard in every single corner. It has to be dealt with electronically, which is almost against the very nature of opera. Opera was created because the voice had to reach a certain style in order to be heard across the great distances.
How would you say this is different from everything else you've done from your other productions? What makes it stand out, or what makes it very different?
Well, for one, is the nature of the material. It's very seldom one gets to tackle something that is historically important and vital, especially in this case, to our nation. This one is significant to us, to the Filipino. That in itself was a great challenge. And it was a factor that had to be taken into consideration because you're dealing with such crucial material, such important material that how does it affect you as a Filipino? You know, it didn't just affect me as a director, it affected me firstly as a Filipino. Maybe we forced Noli Me Tangere too early.
School.
What does it mean to a high schooler? I understand why so many people, including myself, do not remember the book. But to a Filipino today, who's been through at least one revolution already, at least 3 presidents, 4, maybe 5, in my case 6, iba na ang kwento. The words mean something different.
Welcome back to News Cafe. I'm talking to Lloyda Nicholas Lewis, Jose Rizal, and Edwin Josue, the 3 musketeers behind Noli Me Tangere, the opera. Now we're going to talk about the operatic tradition in the Philippines. Most Filipinos aren't aware that we even have opera. How do you make an opera like this relevant to Filipinos, Lloyda?
Well, for instance, in Noli Me Tangere, the opera, or the novel of Jose Rizal, talks about abuse of power of those in power.
Right.
It tells a story of the underclass being oppressed by the people in power, and also that education could be the key to people power. And all of that is in Noli Me Tangere opera, which is in a way reflects what is happening now in the Philippines.
Right.
So in that way, it is very relevant and very current.
Yeah. Well, many people tend to think that when it's opera, it's boring. So maybe for young audiences, it's going to be long. I'm going to fall asleep. It's what my grandparents listen to. How did you make this particular opera more interesting or engaging for the current
make it
viewers?
More exciting for the audience. There's a perception, when you say that opera, ay matutulog lang na ako.
Oh.
No, that's the reason why I try to adapt the new modern technologies.
Yes.
And that's why we chose Resorts World, because they have the LED lights. Trying to incorporate the LED lights and the modern design, and stay with the period also, because I want to bring back the Spanish era.
Right.
And show the people and show the audience that we have a culture, just to remind them. I think they've forgotten a lot, and they've been very influenced by the. I would say through the internet, and it's all about modernization, and that's why I have to make it very interesting. One thing that struck me when I was in New York, we presented it. A lot of younger Filipino film, I would say, "Oh, thank you very much for making me to be a proud Filipino."
Yeah.
And they were able to accept, and also I would say they felt like they felt the whole story.
Yeah.
They can tell, they can feel it, and that's because of the video images that I did, the digital. And I know how to treat, those.
Right.
I have to respect my audience, because they're paying, and I have to understand what they like to attract them to come in. That's why I'm trying to change the perception that they have.
And the beautiful costumes, that was a daunting task alone, no?
Try hard.
Yeah. Now, this is something we study in school, of course, but usually it's history, then we forget it. Now, from your audience reception so far, how has it been? And, from the young actors also you're working with, how do you think it's reaching, how is it trickling down now back to... I mean, Edwin, what do you think?
Well, they're so happy that the actors were part of it, and and the people who really watch it, the shows that we had in New York and Washington D.C. after seeing it, as what Jerry said, we're proud to be Filipinos. And thank you very much for bringing this Noli Me Tangere opera, especially for those Phil-Ams who don't have this Noli Me Tangere in their curriculum. Yeah. They said that, at least we know that we have cultural heritage that we could, be proud of. So this traditional opera na matutulog, but this is really a beautiful production. Right. And it really see, feel, and hear the melodious opera by Felipe de Leon and the libretto of Guillermo Tolentino.
That's right, both by our national artists.
And the novel, the classic novel
of course.
Of Jose Rizal.
Yeah. Now, of course, with this daunting task comes a daunting, financial problem. Now, the challenges of bringing this together also mean that for audiences, people may think operas are expensive. So, if you can explain, you talked about the budget being around, what is it, about
40 million to 50 million
pesos to put this together. So, if you can just explain to us where all of this goes to, where the cost, why is it so expensive to watch an opera?
Well, I think they can answer it better. But for one thing, this is a 100-person cast from orchestra, actors, the singers, and then the staff. Yeah. Okay, can you imagine doing that for more than a month? Yeah. Okay, so that's part of it.
Right.
Yes, and it's really very expensive to mount an opera.
Yes.
And first thing that we have to do is we make sure that we respect the actors, pay them right, and also the productions and everything. It costs money,
Of course.
You have 30-piece orchestra. You have to pay each, musicians well. And plus, there's so much rehearsals. You have to pay the director. There's so much money involved.
Well, it's like educating people, because usually they think for foreign actors it's okay to pay them that much. But why not local?
And being a producer, there's a huge responsibility for us. We want to make sure that we don't play with the national treasure.
Right.
Because this is a national treasure. It's a national materials. We want to bring the best of Filipinos. It's not about the three of us. Yeah. It's about what do we have. Like the an American doctor was saying, I didn't know you have so much culture way back. Yeah. Of course, that's our pride. And that's the reason why we're doing this, and we're spreading, we're making people aware, and we're making people get involved. And that's why we're very thankful that you're here as in the social, the press, the people, the social media, helping us to create this awareness. We cannot do this alone. We need partners like you. Yeah. That's why we're very thankful. for doing this.
Well, thank you for bringing this here.
It's actually love of country,
Yes.
promoting nationalism and patriotism. And
Right.
that's why the three of us are here.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people, this is what you always say, this is your advocacy to kind of educate Filipinos and let the world know about our culture. Now, why do you think art is such an important way of bringing messages, or let's say, just say that our cultural artifacts and experiences such as this are so significant to the country?
Well, it is significant because we have, as Filipinos, or even as a modern man, forget that there is something higher than just earning money. Okay? Art appeals to the spirit, the spiritual in us. It elevates us.
Yeah.
It enhances our personhood.
Yeah.
And, you know, looking at something like this, an opera sung in Filipino
Yeah.
by Filipino artists,
Yeah.
will just lift up our concept of ourselves as Filipinos.
Right. That's true. This kind of art ignites our patriotism. Again,
and
yes,
also
Jerry.
it's very, I want people to understand, because I was talking to one person he advocates education. And the first thing he told me, like, oh, you know what? I'm not interested in your art and culture. I'm about education. I said, excuse me, art and culture is education.
True.
It identifies you as a human being.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
deal with high-profile people all over the world. They identify me. I always tell them I'm a Filipino. What
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell them? I'm an American because I'm an American citizen? No,
Yeah.
I'm a Filipino. I'm brown skin. You know, I'm
Yeah.
Filipino Chinese. You know, and that's why people have to understand that. You know, they have to embrace arts and culture. It identifies us as a human being. We know about our history because of the arts and culture. You know, because of our art, because of, we've been influenced by so many cultures like Spanish, Chinese, Malay. You know.
Right.
And, you know, that's why you have to know your history, you have to know your background before you can understand yourself.
It's
That's
true.
why it's very important.
Yes.
Yeah, if I may
Right.
add,
Yes, please do.
that, you know, a country without an art has no soul.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
the art is actually what makes us better human beings.
And art
Exactly.
knows no politics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't play politics here. It's promoting our culture, you know, our rich
Right.
cultural heritage. that we're-
Well, some may think that well, of course, given that you were saying earlier, Lloyd, that there's a lot of a case in terms of the story here, a lot of things still that are relevant. It's parallel to what's happening to us today. Now, do you think there might be some symbolism? If some political groups want to attach themselves to your production, would you allow it? Because I'm sure there's some symbolism. I mean, we talk about the government here that's corrupt. Apparently, there's going to be a buhaya that's going to be on stage, right? So may mga buhaya rin tayo dito. Do you think some people might put some political color to this? What do you have to say to that,
Art
Noida?
is in the eye of the beholder. Kung buhaya sila, makikita nila sila yung
Tama. That's true. That's true.
So it's you know,
So it's open to different interpretations. That's also what art is
And
about.
also, you know, we didn't write the novel. We're just presenting it.
Yeah.
You know, it just so happened. It's so relevant. It's so
It
current,
is.
it's happening.
Yeah.
And what is so sad? It's not the foreigners who are, you know, abusing us. It's our own blood. Our
Yeah.
own people.
It's true.
That's the saddest thing for us. You
Yeah.
know. And before you can forgive them, the Spaniards, because they're foreigners, they're trying to conquer. That's all
Yeah.
they know.
Yeah.
You know? But now it's not about the Spaniards. It's about your own kadugo.
Now, what's great about a play like this, it's also a good way for people to understand, you've always been saying this, to understand where we are.
Yeah.
And through this play, I mean, it's really bringing up certain issues, and especially for the younger generations, to get them talking about it
Yes.
in school,
Yes.
right?
Those two kids, the
Yeah.
Brazilian and the Crispin, my gosh.
So young and
so
bringing up-
young and
yeah.
so intelligent and so...
Exactly. And what you're trying to do also, because not many people, let's face it, maybe the public school kids cannot afford this. So what you're trying to do, you will offer prices also for students so that more people can see this.
yes,
Is that right?
It's my task to try to get corporations to subsidize.
Yeah.
Because we're offering to students who will present an ID
Yeah.
to pay only $500 because the
Pesos.
cheapest.
Oh, $500, yeah, 500 pesos.
500 pesos, medyo
Yeah.
tagal na sa America, laging dollar. Like 500 pesos when the cheapest ticket is 1,200.
Right.
And I'm so glad that San Miguel Corporation, Ramon Ang, and PLDT, Manny Pangilinan.
Of course, you need the sponsors.
With Smart and hopefully Meralco have already, you know, committed to subsidize their student price.
Right. And part of the proceeds will also go to the preservation of Noli Me Tangere for the copy, right?
Yes,
National
yes,
Library.
yes.
And some,
Hopefully, hopefully we're working hard enough, and people who are watching this will buy tickets so that we will have something over and above what the opera costs.
Right. And after this, you're thinking of a world tour? Europe? What's after this? Maybe it will go to Europe.
Some invitations, you know. So we'll cross our fingers. We'll, you know, right now we're concentrating on the here in the 21 shows, but we have invitations from Turkey, Paris, you know, Vancouver,
wow.
Canada,
excellent,
LA, you know, and Switzerland. You know. We're trying to promote our culture so that people would understand that, oh, we really have our, you know, rich cultural heritage. That's our mission.
Well, thanks for bringing this here and making us proud. Thanks for all you do, and thanks for being here on the show.
Thank you, Mitzi, for having us.
All right, thank you again now. Thanks to Lloyd and Nicholas Lewis, Jerry Sibal, and Edwin Joseph for being on the show. And we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll talk to some of the cast members of Noli Me Tangere, the opera. How would you compare the different productions? So you've been in the New York, Washington, D.C., and now the Philippines one. How do they all compare?
Yeah,
totally
it was different. And what differentiates that is the director's vision. The way that the stage director, you know, wants a specific scene. Like, for example, for Sisa, in D.C., Anna, the stage director, had very specific ideas of what made Sisa crazy. And I had a prop. That was like a leaf and a branch or whatever, and that sometimes became my child, and that sometimes became something else. And here it's completely different. Freddie has me using a basket, you know. So like there's subtle differences that simply just change the production in itself. As a whole, you know, the opera has stayed the same, but the way that singers sing even, and interactions, because they're different singers, there's so many things that blossom and differ just by simply switching up the singers.
What for you would be the favorite or the highlight of the production here in the Philippines?
Oh, well, I think that, number one, the fact that we're doing this opera in the Philippines and the opera is about the Philippines is a very momentous occasion. So I think that means something to all of us in the cast. It's very, very memorable, and we're very proud to do it. And that rings through everything that we do. It resonates, you know. So the simple fact that we're all here and we're all very proud of what we're doing adds a different level of energy to it.
What sort of messages can the public get from this for this day and age?
Well, you know, there's a lot, and I mean, not even to just talk about the political side of things, you know. I mean, everybody can say and see that there is still oppression going on right now and all of that. But if you want to look at it in another sense, musically, who would ever think here in the Philippines, except for a few in the small operatic community, to ever be an opera singer? I didn't like opera when I was a kid. When in Cebu, my God, whenever there was classical music, it was like, turn that off, although I played piano. But I mean, whoever considers that as a profession? No one, right? So here's an opportunity for people to say, wow, here are Filipino artists breaking out of the cycle to do what they're passionate about and promoting Filipino culture. That's empowering.
You're watching News Cafe, where the spotlight is on Noli Me Tangere, the opera. And now I'm joined by two of the cast members. We have Ivan Neri, who plays the alternate actor for Crisostomo, and Myra May Meneses, alternate actress for Maria Clara. Good evening. Thanks for being on News Cafe.
Good evening.
So this is quite a dream, isn't it, to be on the full orchestra production of the opera? Because you were in the Dulaang UP production last 2011. What are the differences? Myra May, you first.
Oh, well, it's a bigger production, bigger set, and of course the music is bigger because we have orchestra.
Last time you had two pianos only, no?
We singing with a big orchestra.
Yeah.
Manila Philharmonic Orchestra.
Yeah, 30-piece orchestra, huh? Yeah. Ivan, how is it different? I mean, and also you come from a different, well, yeah, so tell me first about your experiences. Training.
To undergo physical training, like really workout, not just for weight loss, but for endurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, more on endurance, yeah.
Right.
The music itself is vocally demanding.
Yeah. What sort of preparation did you have to undergo? Of course, apart from having to know the story. I mean, yes, we may have studied it in school, but how did you prepare for your role, Myra May?
Well, I trained in the gym for about 2 months before relaxing. And then, of course, we have to research on our roles, on the whole story of Noli Me Tangere.
Yeah.
And yes, we have to train with our teachers, of course.
Yeah.
Vocally.
Well, what do you think about the operatic tradition in the Philippines? You know, not many people are familiar with this. Back, was it 2013 when Phantom of the Opera came, La Traviata? There are many operas that came. Suddenly there was this resurgence. But for you being in this field, do you think that it's actually coming back, and will it be sustained?
Well, yes, I think it's coming back. A lot of younger people are enjoying opera right now, and a lot of younger singers are preparing for future engagements also. So I guess it's coming.
So you're confident that this is something that, you know, I mean, there aren't many people like yourselves. You're very young, and in this field, it's not many Filipinos who are in this field, no?
Hopefully in the future, we can be teachers also.
Yes.
And encourage other singers to sing with us.
Yeah. Well, you're also a trained violinist and pianist. What is it like for you? Because there may not be many young Filipinos in that same field. Is it a big challenge having to develop this you know, to really sustain this career here?
Yes. I started playing the violin when I was 5 years old, and I wasn't really used to standing up on stage and singing alone, because I was just part of the choir, and you know, I wasn't used to standing there alone.
How did that happen?
Well, luckily, Miss Camille trained me to sing alone on stage, and I had a lot of experience singing on stage alone, so I guess that just developed.
Yeah. And you, Ivan, you were in a rock band. Funny that from a rock band you got into opera. Now, how did that happen?
Well, it used to be really my passion.
You were training, both of you trained at the St. Scholastica School of Music.
Yes.
So you had been
Before
trained.
St. Scho, I was in CEU. Yeah, then I transferred to St. Scho for a scholarship.
Yeah.
And so that's why I got there. And you know, my teacher, our teachers, Ma'am Camille and Sir Pablo, their husband and wife.
Yeah.
Excellent teachers, excellent motivators. I guess that's it.
Yeah. And so since then, you guys have won and done many, well, we've won awards. Myra May, you were the 23rd Aliw Awardee nominee in 2012. You're also a Batig Music Foundation scholar. And at 18, you were the youngest national music competition for young artists. You got the top prize, was it then? Well, I hate to put you on the spot, maybe make you nervous, but maybe people always ask this of you. Can I ask you guys for a quick sample? I mean, maybe to give the audience a little taste of what to expect at the opera.
Okay.
Okay?
Sa lapang pangako na ating tutunguhan, pusong may dambahanan, luluklukan natin sa kubong palasyo'y awit-awitin ang tawis at timyas ng ating paggiliw sa lupang pangako na ating tutunguhin, pusong may dambanang luluklukan nito.
Wow, thank you for that. This is what's great. An opera like this will reignite our passion, no, for this story, for our history. What is the best or biggest learning experience maybe for you, for each of you, by having done this particular production, Myra May? How has it changed you?
It's different because you get to meet new people, you get to approach the role in a different aspect, you get to learn about the history more, you know, not just this is like this is like that. You get to dig deeper to the real meaning and purpose of the opera.
So better appreciation, no, for it, yeah. Ivan?
Since this is not the first time
Yeah.
we've done the role, you know, in every work there's always something new.
True.
Every time you read something, you discover another layer. Oh, it's it. The relationships between the characters. It's not just flat, becomes three-dimensional, you know.
There's always something new to learn, something new to discover. And no matter how many times you do it, you don't get sick of it, because you've done this many times, right? Yeah. Well, thanks very much, Ivan Neri and Myra May Meneses for being on the show. When we come back, we'll have other cast members of Noli Me Tangere, the opera. Don't go away. How do you feel about the cast now, working with Direk Freddy?
Direk Freddy, he has brilliant ideas on how to present the different scenes, which of course has a lot different also when I did with Ana. Yung presentasyon ng kanyang idea is really Filipino. Yeah. And of course, true to, of course, what he read about the novel. There's a big following of Rizal in Germany, which 2 years ago, nung nag-concert ako sa Heidelberg, sabi nila, I don't think Rizal was parang the ending of the continuation del filibusterismo. Parang nagiging Simon siya doon. Hindi nila alam bakit umalis pa si Rizal. Yun ang nakasabi doon sa ano. Because never knew. You know, maybe it was implied na umalis because there was a continuation of a struggle. It could be outside of the country because ika nga, in the libretto, I have to say this, the letter that Rizal left with Maria Clara. Sabi niya doon, ibig ng ama ko na ako'y umalis. Dapat pag-aralan ang lihim ng buhay. Hindi ito nakakamtan sa sariling bayan. Which is very relevant. Ako, natamaan ako doon because yung training and everything, hindi ko talaga yung nakukuha dito. Kasi kailangan natin ng experience. First and foremost, wala tayong suporta from the government for the arts and culture. We survive because these people, these mga artists, mga choirs, marigal singers, UP concert girls, UP singing ambassadors, they love making music with or without support. And ang nangyari, nagiging panalo sila sa mga international competitions. What if the government is supporting us? It's so imbalance kasi ito, nagsiselos ako sa sports. Kasi ang sports talaga, media, everything, and sponsorship, bang. But for us, when it comes to culture and para sa atin, you know, you have to beg, please, panurin nyo naman yung aming, because this is for the... Okay. Ang ibig ko sabihin na we need to practice our culture. We need to know our culture. We need to know the history that we have.
Noli Me Tangere kasi deals with different issues that we still experience today. So it's a timeless piece of literature, and it's a love story, and it's about oppression, it's about love for country, it's about hope, and it's about being strong with what you believe in, and that's the character of Ibarra. It's not losing for a beautiful future. Yes, it's fighting for what's right, what you think is right, something that we deal with every day also. So I think it's relevant also up to now, even after more than 100 years. I think all Filipinos should watch this opera because it's Noli Me Tangere, you know. It makes you feel proud that you're a Filipino. Not just because of Jose Rizal, of course. We all admire him as our national hero. He's a great writer. He's a genius. But also because of the music. It's a masterpiece. And I think everybody should see this, should not miss it because it's just beautiful. It would be a shame if you miss it.
You're watching News Cafe, and we're talking to more cast members of Noli Me Tangere, the opera. Now, I'm joined by Maria Poco, who plays Crispin, and we have Ego Velasco, who plays Basilio, and Greg De Leon, who plays Elias. Good evening, guys. Thanks for being on News Cafe.
Good evening, Miss Mitzi.
It's quite a very nice, interesting cast we have here. Now, let's start with your previous experiences before doing this play. What were you doing before this? What plays have you done before this, Mary?
Before, I'm acting in theater, like King and Dai and Susikal. And I'm included in one episode of Jolly Town in TV.
Wow, and how old are you?
9.
Wow, you're so old. And since you've done so much. And you, Ego, what have you done?
I've been in one play, Bluebird. I played a minor role in the ensemble. And I did other recent activities with Trumpet's Play Shop.
Wow, very experienced. And Greg, the youngest in the group. What have you done?
My most recent opera was Rigoletto at CCP, Main Theater. I did the role of Marullo. And a few years ago, Carmen at FEU.
Yes. You were also involved in the 2011 Dulaang UP, performance of Noli Me Tangere. Yeah. So this is pretty easy for you then, huh?
Not really,
how is it?
Because I did at DUP, I did the role of Capitan Tiago, but this time I'll be doing Elias.
Oh. So how does it feel, ask each of you guys, working on this full orchestra production? Let me start with you, since we're there with you, Grego.
It's really exciting because to work with the top caliber opera singers like Rachel Herodias, Salma Lafi, and of course Camille Lopez Molina. It's very exciting, and to sing with a full orchestra, it's a different experience. It's indescribable.
Yeah, it's really a dream come true, isn't it? Yeah. And for you, Ego, what do you think, working with all these people?
Yeah, same for me, because I'm just used to singing pop songs or happy birthday and parties. So I dreamed of going to opera.
Wow, and look
It's
at you.
something that I thought I'd never reach, because it's like the stars.
Wow, you reached your dream at 11 years old. Isn't that great?
I want to be a priest when I grow up.
Okay, so yeah, wait a few years. Really? Okay, and you want to go to Juilliard also, huh? Juilliard now. So now that you've reached this dream, you think the next one is be a priest and go to Juilliard?
Yes.
Okay, you're well on your way. And how about you, Mary?
I felt so proud because ever since I did any opera but theaters and on TV, and this is my first time on it.
Wow, now did you read the book, Noli Me Tangere?
Yeah.
Yes? Wow, you guys have read it, huh? The full version or the shortcut version?
English version.
The English version, okay. So what do you think of the story? What are the big messages for you?
It tells how the Spaniards maltreated the Filipinos in their time.
Yeah, for you, Ego, what do you think? Even in terms of the key message of the actual opera for you?
Yeah. I think Jose Rizal was really telling that the Spanish were really oppressive, and that we should all learn to fight back the people that are oppressing us and fight for liberty.
Yeah.
Plus, it's also teaching us to take care of ourselves and to take care of our country.
Wow, very good. Now let me ask you, Greg, since you come from the world of opera, what do you think about the Philippines now and how we're moving in terms of bringing opera to the world? Are we going to be competitive?
Yeah, definitely. We have lots of talents here in the Philippines, full of talents. It's just that it really takes time for the Filipinos to fully aware of this kind of art form. It's just that we need to do something more in order for us to reach the people.
The younger ones especially.
The younger ones especially.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, the young ones, do you think your friends would watch something like this?
Yes.
Yes, really? So all your friends like opera?
Yeah, not that much.
No? So do you think that your friends in school would watch? What would make them go to something like this? Because when you first heard about opera, what did you think? What did you think of the word opera?
I thought, honestly, I thought...
Right? Even people my age think that.
Yeah.
But now that you've seen it...
So exciting. It's like, Les Miserables is like an opera, actually. Except what makes it exciting is that first, it's in English. And then, so people can understand it. And then second, there's a lot of action. Lots of movements. I think that's what we're doing here in Noli Me Tangere to make it more exciting. Except, it's like Les Miserables except Filipino version.
Right. What about for you, Mary? What do you think? If your friends, would your friends and all your family members, of course, not just because you're in it, okay? But do you think they'll watch because it's an opera?
Yes, because many of my friends and classmates like the history and they like operas, but only some of them. And many of them think that it's like just singing and singing without any words.
Singing without words. So they think it's just a bunch of people making funny sounds, huh? Yeah. Nakakatuwa, no, Greg? When you see this young generation, naisip mo ba na we do have a future with opera?
Definitely.
Ano masasabi mo?
Actually, speechless ako kanina when we had an interview earlier. Sabi ko, wow, kapag ganito yung yung future ng opera,
That's
definitely we have a bright future.
Right.
opera here in the Philippines.
That's true. Very smart kids. Now, Ego, I want to ask you, because one of the challenging bits you had to do to prepare for this role was
lose weight.
Why was that? Why did you have to lose weight?
For Basilio, he's this very poor kid that doesn't have much to eat. Their family's going through some, how you say, money issues.
Okay.
And so I need to be super skinny when I am super tubby.
Oh, but yeah, so you had to lose a little bit of weight just to make sure that lay out at such a young age. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you guys, if you don't mind, if you could do a little bit of singing just from each of your parts. Let's start with Greg.
I'm going to sing a portion from my aria, Ako'y Sugat-Sugatan. Ako'y sugat-sugatan, 2 araw na ngayong walang kain, walang tulog. Di ako umagahit, ako'y mamamatay.
Wow. That's good. Very good. Thank you. All right. Next, Ego.
I'm going to sing something from my aria when my mother is dying in front of my very eyes. Oh, no, she's already dead.
Sisa.
In front of my very eyes.
That's
yes.
right. Okay.
Gising na, oy nang ko. Ako'y si Basilio. Gising na, oy nang ko. Aking inang sinisinta. Idilat mong iyong mata. Ako ngayon'y nag-iisa, si Crispin may wala na. Bakit ako'y inulila?
Wow. Lots of emotion there. Thank you very much, Ego. And Mary, please.
I have some few parts of singing only. That's why I'm going to sing just a few else.
Okay, thank you. Please do.
Apo, uwi kami agad. Only that.
Very cute. But very nice voice. You are so cute. All right, now let me ask you, what are your favorite parts about the show? The really, really favorite parts, whether it was just behind the scenes, this is the best part the experience that you've had from being part of this production. Let's start with you, Ego.
I really liked it when we were blocking, so we'll know where to walk. And especially when we're doing action scenes, like the exciting scenes. This might be a little spoilers, but
that's all right.
There's a point where Ibarra tries to kill Padre Damaso, so that's exciting. Because when you're first listening to the music and you're trying to imagine it, you can't imagine it that well. But then when we're finally blocking, it's amazing.
Exciting, huh? Okay, and you?
Maluwag, because it's quite funny.
Which part was that? Sorry?
Maluwag.
Okay.
It's funny because of the ladies and the men.
Yeah. And Greg, finally.
For me, after every rehearsal, the director gives some insights for us how to improve our character. So I guess that's very valuable to me.
Yeah, always something new, no? With different characters and people you're working with.
So when we get home and then we practice our part, and when we come back to the rehearsals, we have to show something new or improve our character.
Well, thank you very much, guys, for sharing your time with us here. Thank you again to our guests. We have Maria Poco, who plays Crispin, Ego Velasco, Basilio, and Elias, played by Greg De Leon. Thanks again also to our guests earlier. We had Myra May Meneses and Ivan Neri, Lloyd and Nicholas Lewis, Jerry Sibal, and Edwin Josue. Now, mark your calendars. Noli Me Tangere, the opera, will run from September 12 to September 28 at the Newport Performing Arts Theater, Resorts World, Manila. Don't miss it. And for more information, check out their Facebook and Twitter accounts. We hope you enjoyed your serving of News Cafe tonight. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening.
Adio kayang naalala pa ang gabing malungkot, maulat masigwa. Ako ay sumumpa sa harap niya. hanggang sa